Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 10th, 2024 at approximately 4:33 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make with. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, before we get into anything, let's go right to the top here. Apologies for the delays, but technical glitches being what they can be, we got off to a little bit of a slow start. Now, right off the bat here, before we get into things, whoa, you are in with the gold. How you doing? And Rachel, you are in with the silver. So hopefully things are going well on your end. LA Moon, thanks so much for joining us. And Eternity Eternal, you are in with the bronze. Nice to see you again. And we scroll down and we have Renee Andrews coming in with the honorable mention. Boy, getting off to a real quick start, aren't we? Now, with that in mind, we are still looking at literally building, at literally helping yourself, but we're going to take a creative approach to it. Now, as most of you know, I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons now for 50, it'll be 58 years. No, we just passed the 58. Okay. There's all those wonderful little things. And Joe Stewart, how you doing? Glad you could join us. We're getting off to a nice little start right off the bat here. But now, we've talked about this whole idea of self-help. Now, here's the neat little part. Okay, in order to get your life in order, okay, the first thing you got to do before anything happens is you've got to decide whether or not you're content with the way your life is. Let me pull up a little bit of a sheet here. What I'm looking at is my notepad, because as we've discussed, very necessary to have that to work on things. What is that page? Okay. Now, the neat part about things is this. Once you've decided that you desire to change your life, that you're not content with the way your life is, now is the time to start deciding what it is about your life you're not content with. Now, I'm absolutely certain most of you have been taught in order to change your life, you've got to know where it's heading. The reality is, sorry to break it to you, well, no, I'm not, but you don't have to know where you're heading for. It is, however, imperative that you know whether or not you're content. Now, what I've done, the reason I brought to mind that I play D&D is this. In the D&D campaign that I'm running in, I'm in the middle, as a matter of fact, both of the campaigns I'm running in, I am in the middle of building an empire, which is really kind of intriguing when you think I'm doing the same thing in real life. So, as came to my attention, I can scatter myself all over the place. My primary focus is, without a shadow of a doubt, the writing. Okay, that's where I desire my mainstream to come from. Okay, because if you take yourself and you're really scattered, okay, you can try and cover all the different avenues at the same time. It doesn't work well. Now, scrolling down just a bit. There we are. Oh, okay. Now, once you take a look at your life and go, I'm not content. Now, I said the first thing is you got to decide whether or not you are content. Myself, I spent decades trying to convince myself I'm happy. About 6 months ago, I finally went, no, I'm really not. Okay, so I started asking people that I know just exactly what was missing. And I do have to make a quick response to this, just because of the fact somebody came down to help me. There we go. And given that they were kind enough to let me know they're home, it's only right that I acknowledge the fact they got there. Once you know that you're not content where your life is. 6 months ago, I went, I'm not happy, but here's the thing. I write, I do consulting, I'm in the middle of working on merchandising, but whenever you're doing it, I will absolutely tell you, you require the best formula I ever came up with in order to draw a stable and successful income. Find 3 venues. Okay, find them, create them, invest in them, whatever. But get 3 venues that each cover a minimum of 1/2 of your required income. Okay, with this in mind, the reason you do that is by having 3, each of which cover 1/2 of what you require. If one of the streams doesn't pull its weight, you're still covering your rent and your living expenses. For me, this boils down to I've got the writings, the books that are coming up, and I'll get to more on that in a minute. I've got the consulting, and I'm now looking into merchandising. Okay, one aspect of my consulting is a contract that I've got that I'm sitting on that I am making the money I require, that 1/2 the required income. But now it's time to start building the others. Now, how do you go about that? Well, the first thing you do is figure out what your income requires, what your life requires you to make. Now, let me ask you this, and you don't actually have to answer it. But the first thing you ask is, are you content with your life? If the answer is yes, you really don't have a problem on that venue. But let me ask you this. If you're not, what do you do about it? Okay. And what I did was this. I went, okay, I've got these 3 venues I can cover. But I've got to look at the writing. And on the writing side of things, I finally made a breakthrough. I am 30 pages away from finishing final edit and final expansion. So things are finally working out with Return to Paradise of the Elderbachian Chronicles, the 3rd book in the installment. In the meantime, I'm starting to push the advertising side of it. Okay. Now, I've got that. I do have the doors open for consulting. But when we look at the creative side, take a look at all the methods people are dealing with. Okay, all the different things that are out there. You're a very small fish for now. Okay, now, of course, if you're looking at generating an income, you got 2 ways of doing it. Work for somebody else or develop your own business. Now, understanding that running your household is a business unto itself. Okay, this is the first thing you look at. Do you have enough income coming in to cover your business? If not, what options do you have? Now, we are taught on the whole, if you're not making ends meet, cut back, don't spend on that, just cut yourself down to the bare minimum. Problem with this philosophy is there comes a point when you can no longer cut back, and you've got to find a way for increasing income. To this end, I'm developing a whole pile of different possibilities. But the one thing that is absolutely imperative, okay, to run a household, yes, requires effort. It also requires finances. And that's the thing you got to look at. Okay, now, I've already got everything in my office. All 15 feet of the desks I operate at are done. They're clear. They're running smoothly. Okay. They are running quite nicely from that end. But you have to look at it now. Here's something that a guy that I talked to, he was opening up a fast food restaurant. And this is where creative thinking comes in. Because I went out and talked to him because he was opening it up right in the middle of 4 other fast food restaurants. Okay, so I went to him and I went, okay, why, pray tell, would you put it inside that many restaurants? And the guy looks at me, he goes, it's simple. He goes, think about it. Every one of these, the average person, when you're looking at fast food, the average restaurant spends about $1,500 a month on advertising. He goes, my advertising cost is going to be about $5. I looked at him and I said, how are you going to pull that off? He goes, well, I got 4 restaurants here, all of which are spending $1,500, total of $6,000 a month to bring people into the area. I'm going to spend $4, put up a poster in the wall on the window, and I've got my advertising. Okay, creative thinking. Now, let me ask you this. And yes, I'm going to ask you guys for input because, well, frankly, how better to get an idea on input on advertising than talk to other people? Okay, I could work it out in my own head. Not going so well. Okay, before I go further down that road, Joe is just letting us go. He's just letting us know. He goes, well, as you all know, my parents and I understand my beliefs about the paranormal. It's our opinions and thoughts about God that still needs work. And I'll tell you, I had the same conversation with somebody else today. Neat part about it for me is I'm not worried about somebody else's opinion about God. I've got my view, and that works well. When you're looking at creative prosperity and creative self-help, one of the reasons why I am still keeping this stream running is seriously by talking to you guys about it, by laying out little projects or little tips that I've personally uncovered. Okay, it does bring them back to the forefront of my mind, thereby giving me a little bit of an upper hand on getting things mobile. So what I'm looking at here, now let me ask you this. Okay, I've got 32, 34, 35 books now concurrently coming into play. The short story, I didn't get a chance to look for it today, but that will be one of them. Okay, but I've made a breakthrough where things are going to start moving. Well, yeah, and Joe, you're right. I agree with you there. We don't do the religious thing a lot here, primarily because there are so many viewpoints out there, and so many people get really agitated if you don't call your higher power by the same name they do. Now, here's the neat part. Okay, what you call your higher power is your call. Okay, now I'm lazy, which is why I use the term God. I'm not worried about all the other names. Anybody can call it anything you want, anything you desire. But when we start looking at belief structures, that is the backbone of how you will determine whether or not you're landing on your feet. Okay, now I will tell you, money is not the be all and end all of everything, nor, by the way, is any belief structure. The whole thing to self-help is accepting the fact that it comes from multiple venues all at once. Okay, so when I look at the whole issue around stress, and do understand, overstressing is what actually caused my heart and my stroke, 6 years ago. But when we start looking at what are the two main causes of stress, anybody got any idea? And no, I'm not going to leave that sit for very long. See, one of the things about self-help is this. In order to help yourself, you got to participate in your own life. This is why when I started looking at laying things out, what is this? That, I think I finished. Oh, did that one. Okay, I will deal with that afterwards. Wonderful things. I get a little sidetracked on occasion in case you hadn't noticed. But when you're looking at self-help, the first thing you've got to become engaged in your life. Are you content? If not, what can you do to make yourself more content? Couple options. Coffee. No, that's not, well, yeah, but what can you do yourself to actually enhance your level of contentment, or to find a way to look at the world in a more positive fashion? Now, where is it? It's the one. Where are we here? This has to go. This is just adding to my list. Okay, and we deal with that and get it sent to her. We just ended up getting a new subscription. Well, more to the point, had it a while ago and didn't put it in the list. But when you look at it, I gotta see what that says. Oh, there we are. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I'm presuming things are still busy and all get out and work. But here's the thing. When you start looking at your life, the one thing that's going to disrupt almost everybody's life, and I am not materialistic, okay? Mind you, that may be half the problem. I turned around and decided I didn't have any use for money. This created a problem. Now, you don't have to have a real draw towards money, but what is imperative is that you think about whether or not you can afford to live. I agree with you wholeheartedly there, LA. LA goes, my first thought that stresses me is the desire to do something and not have the physical wherewithal to get it done. This is compounded by needing to ask for help from others. And for me, very much the same idea, but in my case, it's not so much the physical ability, so much as the financial capacity to even keep the basics running. Okay. which is why, and I've already drawn them up. This is why I've got to act on what I'm seeing. Now, I took a real neat trip where it came to the way that what do we got? Yeah, I took a real neat take on things in D&D where I said, okay, I've got to build an empire. Okay, in this case, it really boiled down to, in one campaign, multiple buildings, multiple sources of income. In my current one, I am simply building one business and get people to come to me. And this is why, when I was sitting down talking to a friend of mine today, I went, okay, of the three venues, consulting, writing, and merchandise, which is the one where my real heart is? And out of those three, which do you figure, and this is just a pop quiz here, which do you figure is more drawing for me? The writing of various books, finding different items of merchandise and physical things to hand you, or consulting with people to help straighten your lives out? What do you figure is really my biggest draw right now? Oh, Joe just bringing this up because the other day, we were talking about different movies. The movie he was talking about, starring Mickey Rourke, was a prayer for the dying. And that, that's a nice thing here. When we look at this stream, many people come in here and go, oh, there's a lot of cross chatting here. This is just trolling. No, this is supporting each other. Okay. So when I look at the three venues that I'm actually working on in a big way, when you look at whether I'm writing books, finding new things to sell, such as coffee mugs, posters, baseball hats, whatever. Okay. Or doing the consulting work, which really boils down to people call me and I go, here's what you've got to do. Okay. Which one draws more of my attention, do you figure? Now, that's that list. Oh, I did get that one done. Absolutely, LA. LA to go do the thing you love first. And the fact there is this. You put your main focus into that, but understand the extra streams are very necessary. Okay, because like I said, when you take a look at all the different options, you've got to find a new way to look at them, a new way to catch people's attention. Now, it's been suggested that I spend money on masterwork classes and what have you. Problem, I don't have it. And no, that's not a request from that end. Okay, I will tell you, any of the books that I'm working on or that I've already written can be acquired through the link at the top of the page, the Buy Me a Coffee link. That will also put you in a position to help support me and help support the channel, as well as get connected to the consulting side of things. Okay, for me, it's real simple. Now, the way I figure it, I've run into major challenges over time, but now it's time to start pushing the limit. Okay, and of course, from my end, while I've got some money coming in, hopefully the lady helping me with the finances is going to come through tomorrow with it, and that'll solve that problem. But I've still got work I got to do. Now, creatively speaking, here's a neat little trick for you. Pretty much everybody. I appreciate that, Ellie. And by the way, that being said, I am literally never even. I honestly didn't think too much about that, but and this is absolutely open to everybody. This question. If I take, well, no, not if. When I take this book, let's see, this one here, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. When I take that and turn it into a class, into an actual course, okay, what I'm trying to figure out is what kind of price is viable. Now, I know everybody goes, oh, if it's a natural ability, do it for free. That's not going to happen. But what kind, I'm just curious, this is just kind of a pop survey, if you will. Okay, and I'd love your response in either the chat room or drop me a line. I'm going to put a course together for this. Okay, for each one of these, in all fairness. Now, that being said, in your opinion, if you're looking to really put your life back in order to reclaim power over your life, okay, what kind of a price ticket do you feel would be viable and functional? Now, understanding that, the idea of doing it for free is a cute thought, and I wish it could. Oh, that's the easy part, LA. What I'm looking at, and I'm going to end up calling on you guys again, obviously, is to set it up live on video. Okay. Now, I can draw it into a very long program, or I can turn it into quite literally a few hours. But I figure long doesn't work well. Well, long works great. But, the question really is, if you're looking at a self-help program, how much time do you desire to sink into it in order to get your feet on the ground? Okay, now I've seen programs out there at $1,500 a program. It's a great idea, except most people can't afford it. Most people that really require to reclaim power over their own life do not have $1,500. Now, what I'm saying, I'm thinking of a number of different issues, and over the course of this weekend, of my weekend, as in tomorrow and Thursday, I'm going to be looking at the logistics behind it, laying out an entire structure while I'm doing everything else. Okay, yes, you might call me a workaholic if you'd like, and I'm just going to kick that off. Don't require that there. This light here, I know I've been told I shouldn't have it on because it makes it difficult, but I forget a lot of things. Not that one, apparently. The nice part about it is, and this is why I'm saying, take a new look. Where are we here? There we go. LA is suggesting, I personally prefer 2 to 3 hours. My budget is between $30 and $50 a month for the course. And that was where I was actually looking at it. Because I figure we can take a lot of time, go over, that's actually not a bad setup. Especially given, now, bear in mind, this book is very simplistic for people. Okay, I wrote it in as basic a way as I can. So I'm thinking, if I look at that and go, okay, this is what we're working on, walk you through it, make sure you've got the tools. It's going to take me a little bit of time to organize it properly. But these are literally the same tools that I personally use to change my own life. Understanding I went from being absolutely not self-destructive, but extremely reclusive. Now, I would love to say, oh, it's a masterclass. I'd love to say I'm that good. Oh, come listen to me because I'm an expert. Well, I'll give myself that. I am absolutely unknown. I mean, the people here know me, but I am not known on a global level. However, that said, okay, if I look at that, now here's the neat part about it. And what a bizarre idea. Now I got one more little venue, and this is what's called, and this is a creative approach to evolution. Okay. Here we have a price that's suggested. Anybody else got input into that? That'd be great. Okay. Now, what time frame works better? Now I'm looking, I know when my live stream is. Okay. At this point, let's see, that's at 4:30. If I go, that actually would work not too terribly bad. Most people have a weekend, used to have a weekend Saturday, Sunday. I have no idea what normal is anymore. But as far as you guys are concerned, now here's a bizarre idea. Schools go, I'm going to run on this day. Okay. And I will absolutely be running it prepaid. Okay. Which does mean we'll have to get onto that as soon as I get laid out. Where are we? We are in the middle of September here. Where is that? Instead of turning the light back on, let's just take a look at this. Go there. Whoop, that didn't work. Do that, and then we go back. And we check calendar, which is over here. What an intriguing idea. Now, let me ask you guys. Okay, if I do this, now I could literally have it up and running properly. I could absolutely have it up and running properly by the first weekend in October. Question really boils down to whether there is interest. Yeah, Ellie's just suggesting film the class and just post it and people can buy the program. Well, that actually makes sense. I mean, I talk here with little input anyway, but and that's not a slight against anybody. It's just the way things are. With that in mind, okay, that's not entirely a bad idea. So, from my end, it's just a question from your guys' standpoint, from the listening audience, whether or not there is an interest in hands-on learning to figure out how to actually change your life, not in a week, not in a month, not after $17,000 in program fees, buying a whole pile of books, or any of that. We are talking being able to change your life or start changing your life the same day you take the course. Okay, I'm a firm believer that telling people that, I'll give you this real short method. You think about it. I was watching I've seen a lot of videos that go, here's a 7-second rule to change your life in about a week. We worked it out a couple of weeks back, okay, where we actually timed it. And I'll tell you, here's a 6-second rule to change your life now. Okay, boils down to this. You've got something in your hand you don't desire on the desk. Pick it up. Okay, go. I'm going to change my life. Get your tail off the chair. Walk over. Put the item down. Turn the light on. Of course, I'm going to come back and get that in a second. But, and there. I've already done that really difficult thing. I went, this is what I'm doing. This is what requires to be done. Now, the neat part about it is every one of you have the capacity to do that. Okay. Now, the nice part about it is if I do that, that's actually not a bad setup. I'm looking at this world this way. We have an opportunity to change the world to a much more effective world. You've thought about this a lot, obviously, Ellie. And I do appreciate that. You know, the neat part about it is that there's a lot of ways that can be done. And of course, there are a lot of other things that can be added. Not the least of which is if I'm going to build a course for this one, okay, for this Believe in Yourself, it's really not too much trouble to build one for Believe in Your Business, Believe in Your Finances, and needless to say, they can be linked quite consistently. Oh, and I goes, no, sir, I can think very quickly on my feet. And that one I can personally vouch for. So, we will start developing this. I have made a couple of I've already started developing it. That's the easy part. And, you know, the one nice thing about it here is this. I know when Ellie said 29 to 49, well, 30 to 50 bucks for the course. You know, that said, okay, most people don't have limited income. But the same value, if you've got $1 million, absolutely pay $1 million for it. I'm quite willing to accept it. But everybody will be paying the same thing. The only difference is this. Okay. And I'm just thinking on my feet here. So some of this is brainstorming. As a matter of fact, where's my brainstorming page? Right here. Of course. Put the pen over there now. I can't reach it. And no, I am not a controlled psychokinetic yet. But this is actually not a bad move. Now get this. Pop that down there. Now I will tell you this. When I look at prices, I'm in Canada. That's the currency I'm talking about. Okay. Now to put that in, what that won't work. Where is... There we are. Canadian dollar. Pop it into that calculator. There you go. Now, I do everything in Canadian dollars. Now, what that translates into is that $50 American works out to, or $50 Canadian works out to 36 American. Okay. Look, I gotta get back on track here. Where was I? Oh, you idiot. Did that completely the wrong way. Ah, there we are. Screwed myself up there momentarily. But when we look at that kind of funding, I personally work in Canadian. And where are we here? The fact of the matter is, bearing in mind what I just talked about, okay, as far as what my financial requirements are, this is a creative approach, because here's the neat little kicker. Okay, now, bring that back down here. Would be nice if my arms were a little longer. Here's the thing. Just because this is the way I operate. Okay, this book, Believe in Yourself and Follow Your Dreams. Okay, I sell at $20 Canadian in your hand. With the course, okay, you will end up, and included in that 50 will be the actual book itself. Okay, and again, we are talking about it being in Canadian dollars. And what do we got here? Joe's just going, there's a witches' night here up in town coming soon. It's until 9 p.m. It's dark out. By then, even if I wanted to go, I'd have to go through the cemetery at night and cross the road to get to it. Well, let's face it, if you're going to a witches gathering, you might want to be there. Yeah, you might be an interesting idea going through the cemetery to start with. But I figure a couple of things I'll be looking at. Okay, and I'll have to look at the overall as the other ones come up. But by putting that in place, okay, all of a sudden the cost of the course drops. And again, it really boils down to this. I'm aiming at helping as many people as I can get away with. Writing is a major factor. But when you combine writing and consulting, okay, all of a sudden you've got a double hit. Okay, and from my end, to actually, if I just take, where's my brain box? Just a quick little thought process on that. There we go. The neat part there, and it'll take a little while to get there. I just worked it out. I would simply, if I was running a course a week, I would simply have to have 10 students every week. I'd make my living expenses. Net result, we're going to get started on that right away. Definitely something we're going to have to work on. And by the way, guys, and I know I'm going to get flack for this anyway, sort of. I tried the idea of paying for marketing ahead of time. Not going to happen. But I do have a way of setting everything in motion. Because I'm a firm believer, the more people I can help, the better off this world is going to be. And in my eyes, there's a neat little side effect. The world smooths out, my stress level collapses. I don't know about you, but I'm really not happy with the stress level I've been going through. But I do believe this is an interesting option. Storm has just added, we might also consider releasing the course as an audiobook with examples that may not be in the actual book itself. If you offer the audiobook as an included feature, they could still order the paper one if they needed it. And this is one of those neat little things that I've got to take a look at. But we've already gone from a matter of financial viability already built. But it's time that we stop talking about changing our lives in spite of what the world is, in spite of what governments are telling us. okay, or the elites, or the moguls. Okay, now, lots of people say, oh, come to my master class. I am not a master. Okay. Yeah, then, I mean, I'm always open to vary. I mean, let's face it, I'm twisted anyway. But different ideas I'm absolutely open to. And that goes to you guys as well. Okay, to the listening audience. Okay, I mean, I can look down the road, but I'm looking at in the immediate future. So, I'm going to have to do that. And I figure from my standpoint, boils down to this. If I can make it relatively simple and inexpensive so that you can understand what's going on, okay, then maybe, just maybe, I can turn things around. And like I've already said, I've worked out a framework where 80% of my net profit, once I break the 2,500, the cost of living, okay, 80% of it I've already earmarked to go back to the community, either to participants, students, clients, customers, food banks, any of it. Okay, I'm looking at putting the majority of it out there, but that still leaves me living comfortably. But to give myself a little bit of room to work, how many weeks would that be? I think that's 3. We are on the 10th, so 1, 2, 3, a month. That's enough time to put it in. I think I've got another, I wonder. I think I got it over here if I do. Not bad. Just looking at a couple of things I had in place here. And I wonder where it went. But there's a number of different classes I can put together in that respect. And quite seriously, if I do it right, for it to work for me, it's real simple. Okay. And that is, I'll be like, if I set it up to do it, especially if I set it up to do it on a weekly basis, okay, or even on a bi-weekly basis, I can run it and still cover my expenses at quite literally at one student. It's not like with some classes where they go, oh, I've got to have 15 students to break even. I'm not looking at breaking even on one person, although this works really nicely. Okay. Now, I love the idea of $49.99. The problem is $49.99 means I got to worry about pennies. And I don't know about you guys in the States now, but I do know in Canada we don't use pennies anymore. Okay, unless it's digital. But by including the book in it, okay, now, am I going to tell you that I'm the best there is? No, I am not Wolverine. Okay, Wolverine goes, I'm the best there is at what I do, but what I do isn't very nice. Well, I'm about the opposite of that. I'm not the best at what I do. And what I do is, in my opinion, very nice. I'm intending on giving you power over your life. And the only benefit from that I receive, aside from the knowledge that you're making your life better, is, oh my gosh, $50. Okay. Now, the question you have to ask is, with all the opportunities out there, all the options out there, how much is your future worth to you? Okay, that's the real critical factor. And we look at this. Whoop. Just making some minor notes while I'm at it. Can't think how to spell. Now I will tell you, okay, there's a lot to work out in the way of the parameters around it, but we will look into that side of it. Now, of course, you guys have heard a lot of the different things I'm working on. I'm just looking at a different way of attaining the goals I'm aiming for. Okay, of turning around, just like we took positive perspectives and have now merged it with positive perceptions. Okay, by doing that, I can actually get much more accomplished with a whole lot less stress. Now, before anybody comes up with any brilliant ideas, no, I'm not going to be looking into this idea of getting it financed anywhere, because let's face it, $50 boils down to, assuming you're going to Starbucks, for coffee. Okay. Now, the question you got to ask, and a lot of you are looking to change your life. I know this. This is why you keep showing up here. Okay. Now, I started off with the idea of talking about what I'm doing with my game. This is way more effective. Okay. It's a different way to present the same thing. Because, not everybody will learn by reading. However, if this becomes the workbook and you get it anyway, okay, perhaps working through it becomes a little bit more viable. Okay, I've got a little bit of research I got to work on, but you can bet your bottom dollar, just like other things I've told you are going to happen from my life. You can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to set a course up and get it in motion. Okay, it's that simple. The question that I've got to, all I've got to figure out is when to do it. Now, personally, I find being live is useful, but recording it is kind of convenient in some ways. The one thing I do look at where it comes to the recording is this. Okay, how do you make certain with recording that, because maybe I should do this in English. I look at positive perceptions here at this stream as a free run. I look at positive perspectives, the magazine, as a free run. Okay, but you can take online classes where you get all the stuff and you do the research. I am a firm believer that having somebody sit there and talk to you, especially if you're sitting there focusing for an hour to an hour and a half, or 2 to 3 hours. In this case, I think we're looking at 4, are we not? Yeah. Let us see. Thanks for the late Phil. I run this for a 3-hour run. Okay. It really boils down to this. Now, you combine this. You go to the theater. Okay. You spend $30 to get your popcorn and what have you, plus the movie. And you wipe out 2 to 3 hours of your time. Sit down and watch a movie on TV. You're wiping out 2 to 3 hours of your time. Absolutely, LA. And the nice part there, and we will get that. This is something I'm going to have to talk to you guys about, quite frankly. Because LA is going, you could offer one-on-one through Skype like we considered before. The time for consideration has come to a close. The time for action has arrived. Okay. Since we are aiming at changing the way this world is working, talking about it is getting us nowhere. Okay. This is why, let's see here. I keep forgetting what day of the week that is. I think it's the 5th, but see, doing it in the middle of the week, a lot of people are working, but there's complications there. Anybody got any idea other than Saturday? Because Friday is all, or not Friday, Sunday's already a write-off. Okay, Saturday is the viable option. Oops. We go 10:05. Other than Saturday, yeah, absolutely it could. LA's just going, Zoom could work in this capacity as well. You know, these are all neat little things. Striving to grow and work. Ow. Sorry about that, guys. Striving to get new technology working is always really fun. You know, but since we are going to change the way this world is working, and I've already got the floor plan and the layout for a healing center, this is just another way of scattering the healing center around the world until I can get a building built. That might take a while. And in all fairness, in the long run, may not be a requirement. But I will start working on that this weekend. My weekend, as in Wednesday and Thursday. Okay. But you can bank your bottom dollar on this one. By the time that October 5th rolls around, that is right now my target mark for the first class. I don't see the point in postponing and setting it up. Okay. The one thing I found with procrastination, well, it's actually two things. One, procrastination very seldom gets anything done in a reasonable amount of time. The other one, which was kind of surprising, is procrastination is literally a question of, it's a mild indicator of depression, from what I gather. Now, let me ask you this. If you all of a sudden start seeing, have the ability after a few hours to start altering your life, let me ask you this. What's that worth to you? Or is it worth anything to you? Not literally the promise. I don't promise anything except I won't lie to you to make you feel better. Okay, but in your eyes, what kind of a value do you place on being able to change your life in real time? Not 6 months after you take the course, not after you find a new job. That is not a bad idea there at all, Storm. Storm's going, idea. We record the lecture, and when someone purchases the class, they receive a link to the video on Google Drive. I have no idea where Google Drive is, but that's your department. You know, but yeah, what's happening here is a fantastic thing. And normally, you know, and by the way, guys, yes, Storm and LA Moon are popping in ideas. By the way, these two, Storm and LA Moon, as well as Nathan, who's still floating around, I suspect, are, well, no, correction. Storm and LA Moon right now are members of my board of advisors. That's the word I was looking for. However, with that said, if any of you out there have an idea that you feel may be helpful, absolutely pop it up. Okay, I do not see any individual as more viable than the next in this case. We are looking at ideas. This is just a way of going, okay, I've got an idea in my head. I've got to get something done with it. How do I make it better? And that's where you guys come in. And yes, by the way, you'll love this one. Where it comes to the advertising bank that I've got, where it comes to my word of mouth advertising, I know how to link all of this together. Okay, it's actually very simple from my end. I'm not about to explain it, not here. But we've got to find an exciting way to get people's attention that says, okay, you do this. Don't take my word for it. But the reality of it is, the best tools on the planet are useless if you don't know how to find them. If you don't pick them up, they're totally useless. Now, I know from practical experience, with the number of copies of this that I know I've sold, okay, without any marketing experience, guys, or without any practical training anyway, with the number I've sold, okay, I know for a fact based on the clients that have bought it, the customers that have bought it, I know this course will have a direct impact on your self-esteem, self-motivation, on changing your life the way you desire it to change, not the way I desire it to change. Maybe running a class isn't your idea of success. Okay, perhaps perhaps all you call success is, I got enough spare change to buy me a coffee. And by the way, that's available too. Or maybe you look at it going, I've got to be making $50,000 a month for me to be classified as successful. You get to determine what your idea of success is. Okay, and these are all things that have to be sorted out. Where are we here? Okay, but this is just, again, taking an idea, the fact that I desire to build an empire and build a healing center that actually works. Not one that says, oh, $10,000. Most you don't have $10,000 to pay for a course. Most you don't have 100. So we brought it down. In Canada, it'll be 50. And like I said, it'll be 50 Canadian no matter where on the planet you are. Okay, so that means from the States, you're going to be looking at about 30. Now, that'll fluctuate as you go along. But I am looking at things to add to the value there. The reality is, I'm looking at, if I'm sitting here, for me, it's simple. Okay, now, that's an interesting concept. See, right now, whether I'm doing consulting or whatever, I've been charging $80 an hour. Okay, but as LA just pointed out, as LA pointed out, finances being what they are, okay, if we toss the class in, okay, at a lower level, then yes, it's absolutely, it's absolutely less expensive than if I do 50 for 3. Okay, you're looking at actually $17 an hour. Okay, which is a little bit of a discount, but what you're getting is hands-on, face-to-face interaction. And we'll look at the other things that get added to it. But in your eyes, does this sound viable? Now, while we are talking about that, okay, there are messages that have to get out there. So many people, and this is a big one that so many people have overlooked. Okay. This neat little message here. Okay, I am worth it. Most of you have been led to believe through education, through training, through experience. Most of you have been led to believe that you're not actually that valuable. Okay, how many of you they're currently on social assistance of one form or another, actually feel that you're of any value? Okay, now, yes, some of you absolutely will. Problem is, finances are not actually compatible in most cases. Okay, I don't know about you, but finances are a major concern to me. This is just another venue that doesn't take a lot of time. That doesn't take a lot out of my day. Working and running it on a Saturday, for me, works out beautifully. Okay, I will look at other time frames. For instance, okay, if I get enough people, or for that matter, if I get a person that can't make it on a Saturday, we will work out a time when we can do it. But effective on October 5th, we'll start the classes. Now, absolutely, okay, it'll be so much better from my standpoint. I'm not sure how we're going to deliver it yet. This is why I'm giving myself a month. Okay, because there's a lot of things that have to shift here. One of the biggest things that had to shift was this funny little thing. Okay, I talk about being positive, about, focusing on the positive side of things. Now, the reality is, if you actually have met me in person, you'll understand my outlook on life is a little complicated. But doing this, perhaps, no, never mind, perhaps, getting this and this series of courses running, okay, in other words, starting, initiating the educational side of Inner Voice Enterprises at a higher, more interactive level, okay, is just evolution at its finest. Okay, now I am curious. What I am very curious if you look at your world. Now, there was a joke I posted in one of the recent editions of Positive Perspectives. It was brought to me. Okay, now I don't have it I don't have it written right in front of me, so I'm going to do a terrible job of this. But it boiled down to a creative way of helping his father. This kid, he was living, he was a young man, and he used to do all of the yard work for his father. Every year, he would go out and he would dig his father's garden up, turn the soil over, and turn the soil over, and then his dad would go out and plant all the vegetables. Well, the son got into trouble one day, and the cops arrest him, and they put him in jail. Well, he's going to be in jail for a couple of years, and so he's like, okay, I've got a problem here. I can't. Dad is no longer capable of turning the garden over, right? So the kid gets a bright idea. He knows he's allowed to make because it's minimum security. He knows that his phone calls, though he's allowed to make them, will be tapped. So he phones his father up, and this is creative planning, really. Phones his father up and says, "Dad, I'm really sorry. I got into a lot of trouble. I'm in jail. I won't be," he says, "I won't be there. I won't be able to put your garden in this year." Right? He says, I'm not going to be out in time. So he talks to his father for a little while later, and he hangs up the phone. And he's sitting there thinking, well, there's a bit of a problem. So he calls his dad back a couple of days later and goes, he's talking to dad, and he says, I'm really sorry I won't be able to make it. But knowing that the phone is being tapped, He goes, but Dad, just whatever you do, he says, I'm really sorry I won't be able there to turn the garden over. Whatever you do, don't tell the police about the bodies in the garden. But the bodies are buried in the garden. He hangs up the phone. Next day, Dad's property is just swarming with SWAT. And they're digging the garden up. So, they turn the whole thing over. They don't find a single body. Okay. About 3 weeks later, the father receives a letter from his son. And the father he opens the letter up and he goes, I'm really sorry I couldn't be there to turn the garden over for you, Dad. Sorry about all the company, but it was the best I could do. Hopefully you can plant the garden now. It was a creative way of doing things. Now, in your eyes, what are we at? We got 6. I'm just lucky we got 6 that are listening right now. Now, this is just a question of taking a look at an option and turning around and going, okay, where do we go from here? Now, on that little note, I'm going to go get a refill on my coffee, and I will be right back. Don't go away, guys.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Priorities first. We have coffee. Actually, in all fairness, that's not exactly a priority for me. It is a staple. I'm pretty certain it's a question of having my caffeine blood level up. Now, when we look at that, that's only one venue that we're looking at. I did make a massive breakthrough just 2 days ago. And like I said, with the Elderbachian Chronicles, I've got it right down. I just got to do the final expansion on about 30 pages. And I've got 2 small entries I got to deal with. Okay, so it's almost ready to go to final. It's going to take a while yet. Races of the Worlds should be out before the end, and they will be done before the end of this month. I was hoping last month, but then I went away for a few, which offset things. And of course, I've got a number of other books I'll be working on. But let me ask you this. When you take a look at your life, have you got the energy in your office on its own moving correctly? This is one of those things that we kind of have to deal with. Where are we here? That's an excellent idea there, Rachel. Rachel's just suggesting doing a short on the preview of what we're offering for advertising as well. I'm still working on what shorts are, but I know what they are. They're pants with legs are too quite long enough. But no, that's an excellent idea. And, putting an ad together, a written ad, is certainly something I will be doing. And again, it boils down to this. I love the idea of people going, oh, take this course. It's 6 months long, costs several $1,000s, and then you can get started. I'm a firm believer most of you can't afford several $1,000s. Not that you don't feel it's worth it, but that it's just not viable. Okay. Now, with the consulting, for me personally, I have been paid as much as literally $2,600 an hour. Okay. What I'm talking about doing is literally charging only $50 for 3, which is $17. And we take a look at that. Divided by well, that's interesting. That's a massive discount. Okay, but here's the thing. In my eyes, number one, I'm not going to bill myself as the best of the best. I will tell you, while we are doing this, we're going to look at a couple other things. If you guys, for instance, have an idea that you'd like to see, like to put to use, to start generating an income of your own, again, I'm not going to be looking at this going, oh, talk to me, I can make everything happen. Not going to happen. Okay, I'm having enough fun with my own. But I will tell you, thinking outside the box is going to do the job. Okay, but one of the first things we got to do is quit looking to the quit looking to the politicians, the major media moguls, the incredible business people. They're all great, don't get me wrong. That's probably overstated. But take a look at it and go, okay, even when you look at Bill Gates, okay, Bill Gates was just another worker. He was just another employee until he decided on something. Now, wouldn't it be nice to take an idea, and I'm not one of these people that's going to look at your idea and go, oh, I think that's a great idea, I'm taking it from you. I undoubtedly will take ideas and put them to use. I got enough on the go. Let's say somebody goes, oh, I want to get into writing romance novels. Well, I'm sure as heck not going to write a romance novel. Let's face it. The first thing I thought about when Rapunzel was letting down her hair to let the prince climb up was all she'd have to do in today's world is when he gets 3/4 of the way up, he's now 30 feet in the air, hanging on to Rapunzel's hair. All she'd have to do is cut her hair and then sue the prince's family for the damage to her hair. Okay. And in today's legal world, that'd probably work. I'm not impressed with it, but, I've got a twisted mind on occasion. Maybe not that much of a rare occasion, mind you. But it's just another one of those ideas where it comes to visibility. I will tell you, and I gotta look into that as well. That's actually not an entirely bad idea. And I will have to start that. I was going to start it this week, but I don't have any of it in front of me. So, on Friday, we're going to expand things a little on here. Now, Friday, of course, we are looking at, I've got to work that out. I know we're going to be dealing with a topic on aliens. Okay. I know we're going to be dealing with that. What I don't know is entirely which. It does not change what I told you before there, Joe. I am already looking at, and I'm going to draw a blank on that name again. I do not like my memory on occasion. So, this is why I write things down so I can remember. Where is it? There we are. Talon. I've got a good memory. Really, really short. I have already laid out the groundwork for the Talon. That's one of those books I'm talking about bringing out. You know, so I've got my work cut out for me. But like I said, the time for talking about changing things is over. It's now time to make it happen. Okay, it's just that simple. The same for you. The time for thinking about having a better life is over. The time is now to look in the mirror and go, what am I not content with? What am I willing to change? And how do I go about it? Okay, I will tell you the changes that we're looking at are going to have ramifications that literally ricochet around the world. Okay, I don't think. Oh, is that? No, that is not. I'm going to be looking at things this time where we're moving forward. I got the filing system worked out. I've got an idea up here. Now it's time tonight to take it from here and put it down on paper and then bring it to you guys. Okay, and the nice part about it is as we're going through this, you're going to be able to see firsthand the impact that this is happening and that this is having. Okay, simply because of the fact that in my world, it boils down to this. All the talk in the world is absolutely useless if you don't get off your tail feather and make it happen. Okay, now, this means that when we're looking at things, as you get your life turned. Now, I mean, I've spent a lot of time working with some people that will sit there and go, look, the method worked. Okay, it's going to take a little bit of time to get up and running. But if I put this course on, okay, and it really boils down to putting the advertising out and seeing, quite honestly, even one person signing up for it for the 5th will have it run. Okay, it's that simple. If I don't have one person signing up for it, then for obvious reasons, much as I'll be working in the office, I won't be running the course. The reason for that is I got a lot of things on the go, but one person is all it's going to require. And then I start growing from there. Now, the same thing, if you guys have, this is one of those other neat little things. Okay, when I look at the idea of circulation and what have you, because, where am I? That's 15, 52, 6. I'm almost, and it's not very much, realistically. Positive Perspectives magazine only has 70 recipients right now. Okay, but when you couple that with the 634 subscribers, we now have 700 people getting view. Okay, and if we take that whole idea of for every one person that sees it, that we know is looking, there's another 6 that are seeing it. We're now up at over 3,500 circulation. Understand the mathematics. This is why when I look at that, and I think I've got it worked around here. Pretty certain I do. Where did I put it? That's a good question. when I was down in the southern states there, we discussed prices for advertising, I think. And I've got to look into that again. Okay. But these are just different ways of going, okay, I've got an income level I've got to deal with. I'm sitting on a lot of purportedly really solid information on how to reclaim power over your life. Okay. Real solid information that can do that. And all you got to do is pick up the tools and get your tail feathers off the couch. You do that, your life changes. Not in a week, not in a month. It starts changing on the spot. Okay? Very important. It's a question of very important in my eyes. It's a question of going, this is where I desire my life to go. I'm no longer interested in whether it can be done by other people. There was an old saying that came out years ago, right? And it really boils down to this. It would be really nice if those of you that say you can, if those of you that are saying it can't be done would clam up and step out of the way while those of us that are doing it continue to make it happen. Okay, the United States military has a saying that I heard, and I presume it's still the same one, where they said, the difficult things we're already doing, the impossible just take us a little longer. Now, by finding an interesting link, by combining positive perspectives with positive perceptions, I've gone from 70 visibility to over 3,500. Okay, just like that, in a way of looking at it. Now, you take a look at diamonds, for instance. One of the world's most expensive, quite frankly, common rocks. Why is it expensive? Because marketing said it's expensive. Okay, marketing said, this is what will make you happy. When Steve Jobs came out with Apple Computer, he went, you require this computer. Okay, I'm going to tell you that if you are not happy with your life, if you're not content with the path you've gone through, this is a key that can help you immensely. Okay, it's a question of me turning around and going, I know this tool works. Okay, and, yes, I will take it to the people off world. Sad to say, these guys don't exactly pay Canadian dollars. But I will tell you, they give me things back that I don't get anywhere else. Not the least of which is the Rhine Norbit. Fabulous site up there, by the way. It's just, I decided that the idea of paying several $1 million to get a ride into orbit was a viable option. So I picked a different path. Now, the other aspect of all of this, of course, is this. And, when I look at word of mouth, I deal with referrals. Okay, but I don't do this. I mentioned I'll be opening up a charity and that sort of thing as well. Well, here's the kicker. Okay, I'm looking at doing this not for the tax breaks. Because let me ask you this. Regardless of what country you're in, if it's a developed country, do you enjoy driving on reasonably functional roads? Do you like being able to use your computer and connect with people around the world? Really? Gee, that day went by in a hurry. LA just told us that we're... 30 minutes, okay. We can work with that. Do you enjoy going around, being able to communicate with people around the world? Do you enjoy being able to see movies from all over the world? If you do, okay, now, I know I shouldn't have included movies, but the whole idea of communicating, of driving around the world, the roads you travel on, the power lines that enable you to actually have running water, well, those come through sewer lines, through water lines. Your water lines and your power lines, those give you running water, power at your hand, heat, a kitchen that you can cook in. Okay, if you like these things, yeah. And he goes, occasionally I make a mistake. I made a big one the other day. I thought it was wrong and I wasn't. If you enjoy these things like power at your fingertips, running water, a nice home to live in, these are brought about by taxes. Now, never mind the issue of whether taxes are fair or not. Okay, the reason I'm not looking for tax loops per se is because of the fact I like having power. And I mean the electricity. I like my own personal power as well. But now I'm taking it back. Okay, I've sat around making allowances for people and going, I'm really not that good. I tell people I am worth it. I am. Only now I'm starting to actually believe it. And in all fairness, guys, a lot of that is because of you. Take a look at what you're doing. If you're striving to market something and it's not working as well as you'd like, now is the time to change it. Okay, now is the time to get off the couch and make the adjustments. And this is why. And you can watch for it. Okay, like I said, part of my telling you is to keep myself, accountable. I tell you I'm going to do it. You can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to do it. Okay, where it comes to doing it, it boils down to my going, here's what I'm up to. Here's the plan to make it. Now, I will tell you, up until just after I got back from down from Texas, the day after I got back, I screwed up. Up until then, 61 years without a ticket at all. The day after I got back from Texas, I got a parking ticket for parking in a handicap zone with my handicap tag in the car. It was not hanging up where it was visible. Now, I got told by a lot of people, oh, you should fight that because you had it there. I'm like, I talk about being honest. I made the mistake. Okay, I didn't put the tag up there. So, I paid the bill. I didn't even wait for it. I paid the bill off. When you make a mistake, you, number one, must remain true to yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself before you even honest with other people, because that's the way to make things happen. Now, I should qualify. That's the honest way to make things happen. I know a lot of people that paint brilliant pictures. This is why I will not tell you this book will change your life forever. Because I will tell you this. You pick it up, you read it, you utilize the tools, your life will change. Okay. However, you buy it, you take a look at it. Okay. Believe in yourself and follow your dreams. That title will change the way you see the world. Only a little bit at a time, but it will have a cascade effect in time. You buy this book, though, you don't read it, you set it on the counter, you ignore it. A great $20 investment to fill up your counter. Matter of fact, if you want, if you desire to just cover your desk with these, send $100. I'll send you 5 copies. You can lay them out all over your desk. Never read them; they still won't do you any good. Okay, but this is your opportunity to get off your tail feathers and change your life for what you consider the better, not for what everybody else does, not for what I consider the better. Okay, now, I'm going to show you something here. This neat little necklace. You can't see it, but on the front of it, this was actually a gift from my other half. On the front, it's got the little footprints. And it's got a quote from an old poem. Okay, I'm sure many of you have read the poem. The poem is called Footprints. Okay, and the quote on it is, "It was then," it shows just the one set of footprints. "It was then that I carried you." On the back of this particular pendant, my other half got it for me. And on the back of it, it says, "You are worth it." Okay, now, for me, that was fantastic. I appreciate the reiteration of that there, LA. You know, LA's just popped into the chat room. Please drop us an email and tell us what you'd like to see in a class. Now, bear in mind, this class is literally going to be based on believe in yourself. Okay, I will develop other classes as I go along. Okay, that's just going to become part and parcel. Today is the day we start expanding and start building the school that I've already talked about. Okay, and yes, it literally is going to be because of people participating in it that will make it happen. Okay, I don't have a problem with it. I've already locked it in. As a matter of fact, no, I haven't, but I will do that. I've got it locked here. I've got it on my hard copy, but I don't feel like moving the stuff off the calendar yet. But I'm going to start it, just so you got the heads up. Okay, I'm going to start it. Don't know what venue we're going to go through yet. That remains to be seen. But at the very least, I will be going through the idea. Actually, that could probably work. Of taking Saturday, the 5th, and running it from 1 to 4. Now, this clears it off the deck so that I can still run the live stream from 4:30 till 6:30. You know, the neat part about it is, like I said, the more clutter I get out of the way, the more organized they get, the faster this works. And I'm telling you, getting this thing running in your life will increase your energy level, drop your stress, enhance your sleeping pattern, ultimately give you a much brighter, a much more productive outlook on life. Okay, or you've got the option. Listen to the people standing up there every week going, "You're a sinner. You're going to burn in heck for the rest of eternity. You're not worth the time you're here. You're going to die." I will vouch for that one. You will die. Some of us get a lot more options on it. But you can listen to somebody doing that. Or you can listen to the different debates going on where each person calls each other names and swears at each other and screams at each other. If that's what you're into, have a happy. Okay. Or you can come to the class and go, let's figure out how this works. You know, I spent 60 years trying to figure out how to hide from the world. Now it's time to go, okay, let's step in and do exactly what I came here to do. Okay. Point the people in the right direction. Right direction being you come out of the situation happier and feeling more in control of your own life. Okay. It's time for me to stop just talking about doing it and get a practical run. Okay. With your guys' help. I kid you not. All I require, it sounds really difficult. Okay. All I'm going to require with the classes at $50 a month. Okay. Or at 50 students a month. 50 students a month would cover everything I require. Okay. And then I can concentrate on growing. This is what I'm pushing for, is to take this, take that option of reclaiming power over your own life and put it in your hand at an affordable price with a minimal amount of effort, of time. Okay. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but again, $20, you get it, you don't do the walkthrough, and you can carry on. Okay. That's a very viable option. And there's a lot of really good courses out there, really good education. It's just in order to get to any of it, you gotta get off your tail feathers. You've got to look at the world in a different way than you have been. Okay, now here's a neat little, a real neat comparison. Okay, and that is this. I know you guys know this. Thank you very much, LA. I know you're aware of this. Many people can be in a crowded room. You can be lonely on your own. But how would you now, boy, talk about getting way ahead of myself. Okay. We take a look at this course. And let's just assume for a fraction of a second that it takes off. All of a sudden, we got doors opening all over the place. Not just the courses, but we can put it's a question of taking those courses and going, okay, how do we get more visible, reach more people, put more of you guys back in control of your own life? Yes, I'm concentrating on my life first. Absolutely, I am. Holy mackerel. I love Disney. Not really. There it is. Don't like modifications like that, but that's okay. So, yes, I'm definitely focusing on my life first. But, as I've said before, okay, 3 karmic laws I follow. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay, by doing that, you can have power over your life in spite of what the government says, what social media says, what the major media moguls say, in spite of all of it. Okay, I know absolutely in my heart the keys to doing that are right here. Okay, the problem that you're going to run into is when you look in the mirror, well, how can I possibly get to that? I'm still staring at the ground. I don't even like talking to people. Okay. Well, I finally figured out something. A long conversation today with a friend of mine really brought something home. Okay. And that is a very simple little aspect. Everyone on the planet has something to offer. Maybe just a simple smile from you will take somebody that's having a really bad day and help them have a little bit of a better day. It's just one of those things you got to look at. At least I strongly recommend you do. It's a question of what have you been doing to actually make your life better? Aside from, I love this one. Let's pray that our life gets better. Let's use in the new world vernacular. Let's say all these positive things and have all these positive affirmations. Guys, you desire your life to change. Get your tail feathers off the chair. Okay, quit waiting for it to happen. It's time to start making it happen. Okay, and yes, my mind is already gone 80 miles down the road on where I go with this class. Okay, or for that matter, with the books I've been writing. Not only that, but even where it comes to my gaming, I've linked out. Definitely out. I've linked my gaming with my real world as well. Like I said, it is all connected. Okay, but now it's time to make it happen. Okay, and what I mean by that, I never even noticed that before. We'll chalk that up to being brain dead. Push that back. That's got that neat little poster of mine. Of course, you can't see it with me there. Now, I do have to check that out, but I'll do that in a little bit. One of the nice parts about this is we are in a position right now, we being the collective we. Our world is at a point where either we're going to change it or we're going to continue following the so-called leaders into the world of oblivion. I don't know about you, but I've watched a number of the government and a number of the so-called professionals and moguls doing things and saying things that are absolutely counterproductive. Okay, now, one of the biggest things we have to look at, because I'm talking about making these changes. The reality is, I'm also very committed to making these changes visible to you. It helps me keep accountable. Okay, but I'm looking at finding ways to take what's up here, get it out there before I drop dead. Okay, hey, that was neat. Held my hand up and all of a sudden it paused. A little bit of a glitch there. And by the way, this does not mean that we happen to be, that we're living in the Matrix. Matrix was a great movie. Little misleading. And a lot of people bought right into it. So here's a dream I'd like you to buy into. What would you do if I told you, if you walk the path I'm talking about walking, and I'm not talking about me going, go do this, go ahead and see what happens. I'm telling you, this is where I'm heading. Okay, this is the direction I'm going. Not just over there. I'm going that direction. I'm heading for the stars. Okay, now they say the sky's the limit. I don't buy that. I've seen way beyond the sky. But I will tell you this. Shoot for the stars. Even if you only get to the moon, you're still way higher than you were. Okay, now, they tell me it's lonely at the top. Ultimately, while I've been sitting here talking, I've been going, okay, how do we take this creative thing? Well, that's easy. We go, okay, let's build the course first. Make sure that it's running. Get it moving. As it grows in popularity, we will, if we have, when it comes to that, not if, when it comes to that point, we will add more courses. Eventually, we'll train people. For the moment, you unlucky people, you get to look at me. And you get to decide whether that's unlucky or not. But I will tell you now, not tomorrow, not next week. Okay, tonight is when I start planning things. Okay, and in all fairness, it's not tonight. I've already got ideas written here about the course. That is happening. I mean, granted, I've got the 5th. I've got the 5th laid out as the first day. Okay, you'll have to wait for that. But that's to give me time to organize it properly, as well as organize a few other things. Okay, and again, any input as to what you feel would be beneficial will be really, really appreciated. Okay, a couple other ideas just came in mind. And that means I do have to talk to somebody very important. The reality of it is this. I'm glad to see the people in here. Now, of course, the reality is that when you're looking at the creative side of life, okay, I have to look at, like, I look over and see how many are in here, how many subscribers we've got, that sort of thing. But the reality is the number here is not the real big issue. The real issue is how many people are we actually reaching? Because there are billions of very lost individuals. Okay, of very lost individuals. And it's time that we give people the option of waking up and reclaiming power over your own life. Show you via demonstration. There we go. Via demonstration, how to reclaim power over your life. Not to make me happy, not to make anybody happy except the person in the mirror. And for those of you that can't see yourself in the mirror, you'll have to imagine it. Okay, but it's time to make it happen. With this in mind, I do want to say thank you so very much for sharing your time with us today. Really appreciate it. I will be back on Friday. Now, of course, Friday we shift back to the aliens. Don't know yet exactly which, but this Friday we'll be back 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. PST. Looking forward to seeing you all then. Until that time, though, do take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes,